This is the story of how I managed to explore and successfully find the thing on the thing seed. It definitely was an interesting adventure, as one would have it, because the world was definitely strange. You see this fox looking creature, I didn't even realize what this was, and even weirder than that was this strange, completely strange bedrock wall surrounding this neighboring village. It truly was a spectacle of creation. I honestly didn't know what to expect, because I honestly didn't know exactly what was going on here, and I didn't know exactly how this thing was going to. Moreover, I was definitely scared as to how I could even figure out what was going on. I mean, why was there a huge obsidian wall? At first, I honestly thought it was bedrock, but I remember that bedrock is the only block in Minecraft that you can't exactly place down. So what I tried to do was I tried to make sure that I could figure out exactly what was going on in this world. Now, my first instinct was that, of course, whatever these villagers were blocking out, it's clear that there was some kind of creature that they were trying to be aware of. Now, of course, the wall or the entrance to the village is made out of obsidian, so I'm guessing that they were very much so trying to keep something out. Now, this first villager told me nobody is leaving this village after what we've seen, and I honestly wondered, strangely enough, what they had seen, because I wasn't exactly sure as to what was going on. Now, I didn't know what they were scared of, because the villager kept mentioning that they were scared to death. Now, that is a very telling statement, because if you are scared to death of something, this absolutely means that whatever has scared you is very terrifying. And initially, they mentioned that they saw something that was terrifying. Now, us being on the thing seed, we already knew that what we were likely to know, whatever it is that we saw, was likely to be the thing. Now, he perfectly described exactly what we expected, that the creature had 6 arms. Not 1, not 2, not 3 or 4 or 5, but 6. And I wasn't even sure how someone could pull that off. That was definitely something that is very dangerous and something that is very, I guess you could say, weird. So, of course, I needed to figure out exactly how this thing would work. So I decided to explore as much as possible that I could about this village, because I wanted to know more about what was going on, and I didn't exactly know where to stop. So of course I looked around in many of the village huts and wanted to see if there was a central unit that was possibly responsible for figuring out just exactly what was going on. Now, I only really know about the thing from one encounter of the creature. I don't really know about the multiple encounters that many people may or not have had. I don't really know exactly what this creature is up to. What I do know is that this creature is definitely quite dangerous. Now, of course, it says here that the thing is the wanted creature that has been stalking our village. Village rumor has it been around for centuries, so I'm guessing that this creature didn't just spawn in. It's been around, potentially, in this world, haunting it for a very, very long time. And apparently they said they have no picture of this creature, but that it is described as having 6 arms and being very tall in its height. So that was definitely something that didn't really confuse me, because I'd already experienced it once, but I didn't really know that the creature was supposed to be tall. Maybe the last time I saw one of these creatures, maybe it was a lot larger than that. Maybe the creature I had seen wasn't really the creature. Maybe it was just a baby version, or it was in its early stage. So I decided to make sure that when going through this place, I could ask as many questions as possible and get to the bottom of where the thing is and if it had been defeated. Or definitely a very confusing time for me, because I honestly just wanted to get to the bottom of exactly what was going on. And I knew that I needed more information. As luck would have it, I just managed to stumble upon something that was rather interesting. You see, this village was perched on top of a hill, which meant that there was a lot of space underneath the hill. And right underneath the hill, there was a very strange looking man who wasn't really a part of the village. Perhaps, at the time, I was thinking that he was somewhat of an outcast, but I didn't really know until I spoke to him. And when I spoke to him, I definitely gained a lot of valuable information. He said that I can tell you more about the thing. I've been tracking it for ages now. Follow me. And this was probably one of the best pieces of information that I did gain. It was definitely very good, because it meant that someone else had been tracking this person. But of course, I did have to give him a very big piece of my inventory, and that was a golden apple. So I decided to follow him, or follow the redstone torches as he would put it. And they definitely were very interesting at first, because I needed to know exactly where they were going to lead me. I wasn't really sure as to what was going to happen, you know, of course, because I was actually quite scared, but I knew that eventually wherever this was going to take me was going to be somewhere that was really cool. So of course, as you can all see, following these redstone torches, at first I was actually just a little bit scared, because if you're following a strange person, and by the way, you should never follow strangers, they could always lead to a very bad scenario. But this is just Minecraft, so since it's just a game, it's okay, but never do that in real life. Now, of course, I managed to see his house, and his house was just built out of cobblestone and wood. But what was interesting was that there were no booby traps, which is good, which means I could enter the house. But he actually had, would you believe it, a picture of the thing. Now, I wasn't exactly sure where he made this picture or where he got this picture, but what was interesting was that he actually had one. Now, of course, you can see here that I'm checking out the back of his house because I wanted to just make sure that it wasn't just me that was there, and it wasn't just me that was going to be, you know, hiding from his house. So, of course, I needed to make sure that this was something that was completely good. So, of course, I looked inside here, and this is exactly what we have. You can all see. You can all see the thing right here, and it's definitely pretty incredible. I don't know exactly how this worked, but it was truly strange. This was an image that was somehow enhanced to show the creature. It's got 2 eyes, or 4 eyes actually, which is definitely creepier than most images, and you can all see right now. So this was definitely something very, very creepy. I didn't really know exactly what was going on, and this thing is a creature from another dimension. Those were the first words that entered from his mouth. It was definitely very, very scary because I didn't really know that this creature was from another dimension. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I was actually pretty scared. He also mentioned that he is here to replace Herobrine, and I know how to summon him. And that was actually something that was definitely pretty scary for me, because I didn't know exactly how you even summon Herobrine in the first place. I didn't know exactly what was going on, but I didn't know how to change it either. I knew that whatever it was definitely pretty dangerous. Now, of course, it said step 1, build a diamond beacon. Step 2, surround it with Steve heads. And number 3, add redstone and make sure it's 3 AM. Those were 4 clinical processes to make sure that this was done. And I was definitely someone that was truly scared because, of course, I didn't really know exactly how this whole thing worked. But luckily for me, he had all the necessary materials and all the necessary stuff to make sure that it worked. Now, it was definitely quite scary because, of course, it was definitely quite weird. But at the same time, it was definitely really interesting because I never built these spawners before and I never knew if they actually worked. But today was the time where we were going to test it and see if this actually works. So I decided to make sure that I could figure out exactly what was going on if I just cleared up the area. So my first step to building this, whatever beacon this was to clear up the surrounding area. Once the surrounding area was cleared up, I needed to make sure that I had enough diamonds to build the correct beacon. You see, I haven't actually used beacons and built beacons before. I personally think they're actually quite a waste of the materials in the Minecraft world, but some people would argue otherwise, and some people do have them in the survival world, despite not many people using them. Because, I mean, if you're using a whole stack of diamonds to just get some temporary effects in one location, it's not very effective. But nonetheless, that wasn't the reason we were building this. We were building this because, of course, we wanted to summon something. Now, for those of you who don't know why we're building a beacon, this is something that has been used for generations. When I say generations, I mean only 10 years, because the game of Minecraft is 10 years old. So, of course, I placed diamonds everywhere, a thick layer of diamonds around every single block, as you can all see right here. And then what I decided to do was to add the finishing touches. Now, I was quite scared that the beacon wouldn't work, but luckily for me, it did. Then, of course, all I needed to do was to add the redstone blocks, and the Steve heads. Now, it definitely does look pretty strange to an outsider or an outside view, because, of course, it's definitely really weird. But the step 2 was to add the Steve head surrounding it. Now, this, of course, is somewhat creepy and somewhat strange, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. The thing is a relative to Steve, and he's definitely a relative to whatever that thing is. So I needed to make sure that whatever I was building was something really cool. So, of course, you guys can see here exactly what was going on, and what we needed to do next was we needed to make sure that this absolutely worked. So I took my redstone, and then I decided to place the redstone on top. And the redstone was the last step before we needed to wait until 3 AM. So after I placed the redstone down, I waited until 3 AM. So just like that, you guys can see right here, that was how I spawned in the thing. It definitely was a truly surreal moment. I didn't even know it was really going to happen. I don't even know why I decided to spawn in the thing, but it was one of the scariest nights I ever had in Minecraft. It was truly horrifying. This thing absolutely worked, and the old man under the bridge was completely right. I didn't exactly want to go anywhere near it, but I knew that if I wanted to survive, I'd better run away, because the moment I saw him was the moment he immediately attacked me